everybody, welcome back to Fiona's Food. Today I'm going to be making something to celebrate two big milestones in my life. So today is my birthday, so yay, but also I'm about to hit 100 subscribers on my channel, which I think is more important. So I'm going to be baking a celebratory rainbow piñata cake, which is basically a rainbow cake but with sweets on the inside. So it's like a rainbow cake but extra exciting. To make the cake, you are going to need a lot of ingredients. So a rainbow has 7 colours, but because two of them are basically the same colour, 2 of them are blue. So you're going to be making 6 cakes. And to make it a little bit easier, plus because most people don't have a giant oven that can fit 6 cakes in, I'm going to be making them 2 at a time. So basically, you're going to have to times my recipe times 3 for the 6 layers of the rainbow cake. So to make 2 out of 6 cakes, you are going to need 3 large free-range eggs, which I have weighed, and then I'm using that weight for my unsalted butter, my caster sugar and self-raising flour. You will also need 1 teaspoon of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract and 1.5 tablespoons of milk. So remember, that's just for 2 cakes, so you're gonna have to do that 3 times over to get the 6 cakes for the rainbow. You're also going to need colours. So I'm using these coloured gels, which basically give a really strong, vibrant colour without affecting the consistency of the cake. If you use the food colouring that you can find at supermarkets, it probably won't get really good results. So the best thing is to use these gels, which you can get on the internet. And the last thing you're going to need for the cake are rainbow sweets. I've got various M&Ms, but you can use any kind of multicoloured sweet you like. Or it doesn't even have to be multicoloured, you can put any sweets inside if you want. And so let's get started. So the first step of our cake is going to be creaming together the butter and the sugar. So I'm going to bung them into my stand mixer. I'm using a stand mixer because I'm really lazy and it's so much easier. But you can do this with just a normal hand beater, or you can even do it by hand with a wooden spoon if you so wish. So I'm just adding my butter and the caster sugar. So I'm going to beat it for a few minutes until it's creamy and fluffy. Actually, probably 1 minute. There we go. Let's try again. There we go. So once your butter and sugar is well mixed, we're going to add our eggs. I'm going to add them 1 at a time, and I'm going to mix between each one just to make sure it gets really well mixed. So, first egg. Oh gosh. So I'm going to turn the mixer on, give it a quick blast. So the next step is to add our flour. So this is self-raising flour, which I've already sifted, and I'm just going to add that straight away. And I'm also going to add our baking powder now as well. And once again, turn on the mixer. Start it slowly, unless you want a face full of flour. And then you can speed it up. To add in our milk and vanilla, I'm actually going to leave the mixer on a really low speed, and then I'll whack it back up again for a few minutes until everything is really nice and mixed, and then we're going to be ready to colour our cake batter. So I'm going to turn it on really low, and then we're going to pour in the milk. Try not to drip it everywhere like I just did. And then our vanilla extract as well. So I'm just going to scrape the sides of my bowl just to make sure I've got everything properly mixed in. And then I'm going to give it one last quick whiz with the beater. And then we'll be ready for stage 2, or stage 7, I guess, if you count all the individual ingredients. Right. Perfect. Our cake batter is now ready to be split into 2, and we're gonna colour it in 2 of the rainbow colours. I have split the cake batter into 2 bowls. So I did it by weighing it because I'm crazy and anal like that, but you can just do it by eye if you want. So now I'm going to colour them. So I'm starting off with red and orange, and then I'm going to do a yellow and green, and then blue and purple. So I'm going to use a little bit of these food gels and then stir in the colour into my batter. Right. Now I'm going to be really careful because the thing about these food gels is they get everywhere. And like, you think you haven't touched the colour, but then you just end up with bright red hands. Okay. So I'm using like a drop. Well, a bit more than a drop, but not loads, basically. And I'm gonna stir it in, but really, really carefully, because I don't want to knock out all the air that I just put into it, basically. So I'm just using really big motions, and you just want to make sure the colours really evenly spread out, basically, because the last thing you want is a rippled cake. We want a rainbow cake, that's what we're doing. Okay, I'm gonna be here for a while, so I'll see you guys at the end. Right, that is one cake down, 5 to go. Yes, I can math. So now I'm going to transfer the batter to my baking tins. I've got 2 9-inch baking tins here, which I have greased with butter, and I've also lined the bottom with some baking paper just so it's easy to transfer. And I'm now going to pour my batter into each of the tins. So I'll start with the red. So I know it looks quite pink, but the thing about the colours is they kind of come out a bit pastel-y, but once you've baked them, they should be really bright. Make sure you use a spatula so you've got all the cakey goodness. And then I'm just gonna spread it out. That's one cake. Let's do the next one. So many cakes to do. Cakes are ready to go into the oven, so I've preheated my oven to 180 degrees Celsius, and I'm going to bake them for about 20 to 25 minutes or until a skewer comes out clean. Now that the red and orange cakes are in the oven, I'm going to bake the other 4 cakes. So it's exactly the same recipe all over again, only we're going to be colouring them green, yellow, blue and purple. Right. Let's go. Let's bake 4 more cakes. So I've taken my cakes out of the oven and left them to cool for quite a while, and now they have completely cooled, I'm going to level them and trim the edges. So I just want to make sure that the level of the cake is like perfectly flat, so it's loads easier to ice and pile on top of one another, and also just so it's got a really neat edge, I'm going to trim the ends a little bit. So I'm just doing this by eye, but you can use like a ruler if you're not that confident about making sure it's flat. Or you can also get like a cake leveler, which obviously will make this whole thing a lot easier. So once you think your cake is level, now we're going to trim the edges. So I'm going to trim the edges just so it looks a bit neater, but I mean you don't really do this because we're going to cover it with buttercream, but like I said earlier, everything has to be perfect. So I'm just using a plate, so you can use anything that's just slightly smaller than the size of your cake, and literally just going to use a sharp knife and cut around the outside of this plate. So all 6 of my cakes have been baked, leveled and trimmed. So the next thing I'm going to do is prepare the hole in the middle where the M&Ms are going to go. So I'm going to take the middle 4 cakes, which is the orange, yellow, green and blue, then layer them on top of one another, and then just using a circle cutter, I'm going to cut a hole in the middle of all 4. Right. So that has taken out the blue layer. Right, so now we've got a hole in our 4 middle cakes. We can start buttercreaming. That's definitely a word. Okay, so now is the exciting part. I'm going to start icing the cake. So I've got a turntable here, which is going to make things loads easier. If you don't have one, it's not the end of the world, but it will make things a lot easier for you. So obviously the rainbow ends with purple, so that's going to be my first cake, which I put down on my cake board. And then I've got some just plain vanilla buttercream here. If you want the recipe for this, I'll put a link to my video in the description below and the quantities that you'll need for a cake this size. So I'm going to ice a little layer between each cake and then layer them up. So put nice, generous-ish between each layer. So when you're icing a cake, if you sort of put a big lump in the middle and then work your way out, you get a nice, even, smooth layer. So that's the first layer. Now I'm going to put on the blue cake. So obviously I've got to be really careful because there is a hole in the middle of this cake. But there we go. I think that's about level. Yeah. So again, I'm going to put another small layer first to trap in the crumbs, and then I'm going to do a thicker layer, and then I'm going to keep going until I've piled up all the cakes, but I'm not going to put the red one on just yet. So I've finished filling the cake and I've done all the layers except the top layer. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill the hole here that we made with my M&Ms. So I'm literally just going to fill it up with these sweets. Oops. Try not to miss. An easy way of doing this now. I was going to pour them in, but then I thought they would go everywhere. Okay, so once you've filled it up, you don't want to sort of overflow it too much because obviously you've got to put another cake over the top. So you kind of want it as level as you can get it. Again, also you don't want it to be too empty because then your cake will sort of dip in the middle. So I'm going to try and fill it up to make it as flat as I can without... There we go. Yes. Yeah. Okay, so now I'm going to put my final cake layer of my rainbow. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a really thin layer of buttercream all over the cake, and then I'm going to chill it in the fridge just to set in all the crumbs so I can get a really nice finish over it. So this crumb coat, it doesn't need to be perfect or like very neat because it's just it's like a base layer of icing basically. So like I said, you just want to drop a blob of buttercream on the middle of your cake and then push it outwards using whatever tool it is that you're using. So we're just going to push it over the sides and do all the sides as well, just so the whole cake is really nice and smooth. Once you finish doing the crumb coat on your cake, we're going to chill it in the fridge for about half an hour and then we're going to ice it. Taking the cake out of the fridge after 30 minutes, so the buttercream's had time to chill, so now I'm going to cover the whole thing with my buttercream. So I've got more of my vanilla buttercream here and I'm going to cover my cake. Like I was saying before with the crumb coat, you just want to sort of pile your buttercream on top of your cake, like this, and then using your best to use one of these, like it's a spatula, but that's kind of got an angle to it. And if you're using one of these, it just makes it loads easier. So all you want to do is you push down and you're spreading out the buttercream over the cake, and then it'll spread over the sides, and you can use that to cover the sides as well. So once you're doing the sides again, you just want to take the buttercream that's sort of come over the edge and then smooth it over the sides. So you can just leave it like it is, or you can add some extra decorations. I've just got some hundreds and thousands that I'm going to use. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to sprinkle them over the top. Now, I don't really want to get any on the sides, so I'm going to be really, really careful with this. Now, obviously, the most exciting bit is cutting into it, so I think we should do that. Oh, I can like feel the M&Ms inside. Okay, we're ready. Ta-da! That is my rainbow cake. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. It's been loads of fun making a cake video. It's been ages since I've done one, and I just love doing them. So I hope you enjoyed it. So if you like this video, then please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to Fiona's Food if you haven't already. Thank you to every single one of my subscribers. I'm about to hit 100 and I'm really excited about that. And I can't wait to see how this channel is going to keep growing. So thanks again for watching, and I will see you in the next video.